of people look at this house and they kind of see the hero house, and that is true. It is a beautiful house. You look at it. It's just a marvelous bit of architecture, a bit of sculpture in the landscape. But that's not what really. It's really not what it's about. It's about this sense of place that you have here and the sense of connection to this amazing landscape we live in, and the way it lets you live these really nice daily rhythms. We have a really kind of simple life here, don't we? And it's around sort of food preparation and the gardening and making the fire happen in the evening and all that sort of stuff. There's this sort of rhythm you go through on a daily basis. So this house just seems to open up for you, and that connection you have to this beautiful place. That's what it's about.
Do you think it's changed the way you live or just reinforced it?
Well, the way we live has really changed since we've been here. I mean, there's other things that have made that happen, other than just the house, but certainly the house. Don't you think?
Well, we no longer work, so your life then breaks down to increments in your day when you don't work, and we have developed these wonderful routines where we when the sun comes up over there, that's when we have our coffee in the morning. And then when it's warm in winter, then we go out and work in the garden, work in the veggie patch and stuff like that. And it's just and there's an easy pace to your life now. It's a much slower pace. If you had to be locked down anywhere, you couldn't ask for a better place to be, because you didn't feel, even though you weren't allowed to go anywhere, you opened the windows and you had that space and you had the movement all the time. There's always different lights and there's different things to catch your eye, and it's such beauty. But it didn't, you hear about so many people being depressed, and it saved us that way. It really did, didn't it?
Are there any, do you ever think to yourself, I'd like to go and do that in the house because I love doing that in the house? Any of those events that happen in
Well, it's like different parts of the day. We sit there and have coffee. We've just put a fire pit up there, and you get this, and we put it where there's a little gap in the trees, and you've got this wonderful view of everything. So you sit there with the fire pit later in the day when you're tired from gardening and weeding, and you sit there and have something to drink by the fire pit. Again, you find little ways to draw yourself into the environment by doing that. And in summer, it's the water in the pool that'll draw you in. And so, yeah.
What about the bath downstairs? We always talked about that as being a wonderful event.
That's my event, yes.
That's Jan's zone.
That's my zone. I'll go down there an evening. I love it at twilight. And just the light, catching the last rays of light. It's really beautiful through the trees. That's my space. And it revigorates you after. It's just You feel good. You feel good sitting in that space. Really nice.
Does the house feel like it's been here for a long time, or is it still a new house? It's just I got a sense when I walked in, having not been here for several months, it felt like it was actually, it could have been an ancient room here, you know?
It's always had that feel, doesn't it? It's always sort of, you can kind of imagine 2,000 or 3,000 years someone discovering this past place in the jungle and digging it out and thinking it would have been like it is now. It's always, it's good. It has a timeless quality to it, for sure. But yeah, the thing is, I think particularly this year, it's really settled into the landscape really beautifully now. Whereas before it was a new building and landscape that was still kind of adjusting to the fact that it had been ripped apart during the build. But now, the landscape's going up and the garden around the house is just getting really entrenched, and that house is just settling down into that space, really kind of just nestling in. So it doesn't feel new anymore in that sense. And it always, the materials have got this age to them already.
And one of our concerns when we were all working on it was, if we are going to put it down on the side of the hill here, we'd approach from above. And the concern was how it looked from above. When I arrived this morning, I felt the look from above was starting to be quite beautiful. How do you feel about looking down onto the building?
Well, it's still got a very hidden feel, hasn't it?
And then there's a water garden, there's a vegetable garden. I mean, it's almost non-recognisable as a building.
Yeah, it has this monumental quality from below, but from above it's really quite subtle. It's amazing how different it is. And you sit down, you go down to that platform down there, and you look up at this big, massive. It looks like a sphinx. I think sometimes it's got those the two big arms that anchor it to the ground. But you look up the top, and it's a sort of slightly artificial landscape drifting out from the lawn. It hasn't got a housey feel at top, does it?
Do you find yourself opening and shutting doors according to seasons or times of day or movement patterns? Like for instance, the back door to the courtyard, is that open in summer? Or
it is. If it's hot and we want to breathe.
Yeah, you adjust things according to the day.
These big ones are always opened in the summer. That's first thing in the morning you open them. Not so much in winter, because it can get chilly here. But if these cross ones are closed, it's not that cold. Mind you, we do.
We've got the windows open for you today.
Wonderful having that cross ventilation in the summer. You're never really hot here, are you?
One of the objectives to the design was to connect you down to the creek. You find that works at all? There's a sense of the creek?
You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
You always know where you are, right near the creek. It's a lovely sound. And when it rains, it's amazing.
And what's it like in your bedroom, waking up in your bedroom? Is it a relaxing room to be in? Is it a calm room? It was deliberately sited so you got the morning light.
You get the morning light, which is lovely. First, in the summer it's higher, so it's okay. In the winter it hits your eyes, but that's fine. It's okay because you get to see that lovely golden light, gentle light coming through first thing. You just take it in, enjoy it, and roll over and go back to sleep. Or the dog jumps up on the bed or something. That's fine.
Amazing,
the birds wake up before the light. So you get the kookaburras making a little hello to each other all the way down the valley and then back up again and down again. There's conversations going on in the morning and they're really loud. It's nice. It's a really lovely place to wake to. It's a gentle waking.
It is kind of, it's like that bit where you're camping and you're in the outside space, and it comes in through the tent in the morning. It's kind of that feel, because essentially you're just sitting under a rock ledge there, aren't you? I mean,
That was the idea.
yeah.
So I'm going to ask you individually if you could use one word to describe your being here. What would that one word be?
It's peaceful.
Oh, I feel spoiled.
Thanks both very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Wonderful.